So I'm Scott Brady. I'm the publisher of Overland Journal and Expedition Portal, and I have been fortunate in my life to have crossed all 7 continents, circumnavigated the planet 3 times, and I was the expedition leader for Expedition 7, where we were able to take the same Land Cruiser to all 7 continents. So the subject we want to talk about today is driving. Now, of course, all of us, we think we can drive. So let's just take this away from if you can drive or not and go towards, is the person that's in the car with you, can they drive or not? So let's set the scenario. We're in a developing country and we need to get in with a local resource. And they're going to take us, let's say, to the consulate. We want to pretty quickly assess how this person can drive, and we can actually use a couple tools to do that very fast. So the most important thing that we want to look at is the driver position. Are they distracted? So if they're on their phone or they're spending a lot of time not paying attention to driving, that's our first clue that this person is either too comfortable with their surroundings or they're too incompetent to drive you safely to where you need to go. And this applies even when you're driving around town. If you're driving with a friend and they're doing the same thing, start to think about, this may not be the best combination for me. The second thing that we want to look at, and the most important thing, is speed in relationship to sight distance. People think that if someone drives fast, that's unsafe. That's not always true. If you're driving fast and you can't see where you're going, that's when it becomes unsafe. So when they're going through a mountain pass and they're driving too fast around a corner on a dirt road and they can't see what's around the bend, that's when you start to worry about the awareness and the competence of the driver. Another thing we want to look at, do they take an early or a late apex? Again, on a dirt road or even on a paved road, if you take an early apex, you've removed all of your options to be able to avoid bricks in the road or an accident. Whereas if you start a very late apex, you can see much further around the corner and you have a lot more options to be able to avoid an accident. And again, it really does come back to speed. So what are some other tells that we can look at in a driver? The first thing that we can see, and this is one of the best ones, is when they stop communicating. It's just like when we go from zone 2 training into zone 3 training and our heart rate comes up, our breathing rate comes up, and we stop being able to maintain regular conversation. When the driver starts to get really quiet, it means they're getting out of that 70 to 75% capability range and they're starting to bang off of their limits of capability. They're so focused that they're no longer able to talk to you easily. A competent driver can handle at the limits and they can still talk to you about their date they had last night. So that's a really important piece, is can they continue to talk? Also look at their body position. Are their shoulders getting tight up around their neck? Are they gripping the steering wheel really tight? Any of that tightness that you're seeing is going to be an indication that this driver is at their limits. And of course, like anything else, smooth is fast. If it's a fast driver that's very smooth, where you're not being thrown around in the vehicle, not a lot of head toss, you're not grabbing for that imaginary brake, then you know that you've got a good driver on your hands. Another good one to keep an eye out on is how the person backs up. Anytime you see someone turning around and grabbing the headrest and looking backwards, they're not doing an optimal version of backing up, because when you turn around, your body is under tension and your head is not often level, which affects your inner ear and your ability to have fine motor control. So you want to look at a driver that uses their mirrors. What's the other advantage to looking forward at your mirrors is that you can actually see what's coming at you. So if you're trying to back away from a scenario quickly, when you turn around, you no longer know what's going on. Maybe they've abandoned the chase and maybe something has changed in your line of sight that would allow you to take a different approach. So you always want to make sure that you're facing forward and using your mirrors when you're backing up. So now what happens if this person is not a good driver, or it's clearly that they're fatigued or some other scenario is coming up? Don't wait. Make a decision and swap out drivers. If you're in a developing country and you're in a taxi and you're on the way to the consulate, you don't like what's going on, say, hey, I'd like to stop here, pay them out and find another driver. If you're driving with someone else and they're making you feel uncomfortable, these are all these warning flags that are coming up. Just say, hey, let's just stop for a couple minutes, let's grab a drink or let's go get a coffee, something that interrupts that cycle of them driving too fast. And that gives you a great opportunity to talk to them about the change in their behavior. Now, of course, our scenario is how we evaluate another driver. But if we have some awareness around ourselves and we can let our ego come down a little bit, we may actually be able to take some time to improve our own driving skills. That includes getting training and paying attention to those couple things we just talked about today.